Hi friends, it's me, Shanila. So I wanted to make this episode because I wanted to help you build a little bit of sleep hygiene around your dream world. Sleep hygiene around your dream world. And what the heck does that actually mean? So I'm sure you've heard of nighttime rituals, nighttime routines, sleep hygiene for, you should brush your teeth before you go to sleep and turn up the lights and, put out the technology and etc, etc. I'm sure you've heard about sleep hygiene, but I wanted to talk to you about sleep hygiene for the dream world. Okay, so if you're not familiar, you dream regardless if you remember it or not. You are in a different ether, different space. You have like a crazy dream world. Some of you remember your dreams. Some of you lucid dream, meaning that you have a little bit of control and lucidity in your dreams. You can kind of like go places and do all the things and have conversations that you want. You're in control of that dream. And some of you dream and you're just like, why is this happening to me? You're kind of like inundated with the dream world where when you wake up, you feel some type of way. You might be carrying emotions from that dream. You might be feeling a little bit of emotional heaviness after those dreams. And especially if you're somebody who's impacted by astrology, if you're somebody who's impacted by the new moons or the full moons, this can be agitated and aggravated and amplified during astrological happenings as well. So I wanted to give you a couple of different really practical applied things that you could do to kind of improve your sleep hygiene as you get into this dream world landscape, okay? So before I tell you anything that seems like super complicated or you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm going to just let you know, one of the best and most potent ways to create sleep hygiene around your dreams is breathing. It's breath work. It's to actually do mindful breathing before you get to sleep so that you're preparing your body to be in this rest and relaxed state so that you can do all the different things that I'm going to mention afterwards. So breathing before going to sleep doesn't mean like, oh, now you need to go do this intense breath work session or you need to go do this like, ritual ceremony breathing technique thing. It just means like, can you breathe in through your nose and can you breathe out through your nose a few times in a mindful, intentional way that essentially signals your body to get into the parasympathetic nervous state. And without getting too complicated, your parasympathetic nervous state is essentially your rest and digest state. This is where your body wants to be when it's going to sleep. It doesn't want to be in this like stressed out energy. It doesn't want to be in fearful energy. It doesn't want to have all these things to think about and all these to-do lists that, a lot of us go to sleep with. It actually wants to be in a place where it's resting, it's relaxing, it's digesting, and it's activating its body's natural healing capacity, its natural healing systems, essentially. So when you do a little bit of breathing right before you go to sleep, you're signaling to your body that actually what I'm about to go do in my sleep world is going to reflect what it is that I'm feeling in my current world. So our dream world and our awake world are highly connected. Our subconscious world and our conscious world are highly connected, even if we don't really have awareness around it. You might be like, why am I dreaming about all these like weird symbologies and people and blah, 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 blah. It has nothing to do with my real life. When if you really paid attention and got very specific about what you were seeing in your dreams, you would see that there is a direct reflection about what's happening in your subconscious world, in your dream world, in the real life world that you're existing in. So there's definitely a dance and a play that's happening. So what happens when we do a little bit of mindful breathing before you go to bed is that you're connecting your subconscious mind and your conscious mind together so that you have a better ability when you're in your dream world to kind of pay attention to some of the details, to notice what's happening, to actually, participate and partake in the dialogue and in the environment rather than feeling like this dream is happening to you, right? Like I've come into this dream world, like all these things are happening, which is essentially why you feel overwhelmed when you wake up, and is essentially why you feel like you're carrying emotions with you in the real awakened life, even though those things happen in your dream. So these things are connected, especially if you can feel some of those emotions being carried through when you wake up. So that means right before you go to bed, do some mindful, intentional breathing and breath work so that you can connect the subconscious and the conscious bodies together. So breath work can just be as simple as breathing in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. On a scale of 1 to 10 on how difficult that was, not that difficult, right? And so that's part of the sleep hygiene for better dreams, is that if you just implement slight, short, mindful, intentional breathing, you're helping yourself, before you even fall asleep, get into this connection with your subconscious body and your conscious body, all right? So the next thing that I mentioned to you is that while you're falling asleep, you go through all these different brain waves. You go through your beta state, which is you being awake, right? Like as you're talking, as you're watching this, you're listening to this, you are in a beta state. You're awake, you're paying attention, you are able to converse if you wanted to, you can talk back and forth if you wanted to. You're in your beta brain state. After that, you enter something called your alpha state. Your alpha state is essentially the space right in between before you fall asleep. So it kind of feels like you're awake, but you can kind of go both ways. You're kind of awake, but you're kind of asleep at the same time. So if somebody started talking to you, you would be able to wake up and, you know, respond, or you can kind of choose to kind of like doze off. That's that alpha state. It feels kind of in that in-between state. Then you come into your theta state. Your theta is your deep, restorative, meditative brain state where you get all the benefits of meditation. And actually, right before we fall asleep, we go into this state. So that kind of like loopy feeling, that feeling like you're floating off into the dream world, happens as you're falling asleep, all right? So keep that part in mind. Then you get into your delta. This is where you're doing your deep sleep situations, and then you get into your gamma. Oftentimes your REM sleep or your dream activity starts to happen in that gamma state. So as you're falling through these different phases, these different brain states, you don't always have awareness around it, right? So we want to set our intentions for going to sleep and intentions for accessing the dream world before we are in a state where we're not able to kind of navigate it for ourselves. So first is doing that light breathing, allowing those two bodies to connect, the subconscious body and your conscious body. You allow that to connect. The second thing is that you want to actually set an intention for why it is that you want to connect to the dream world, or your intention to even connect with the dream world. And here, if you can be very specific, if for some reason or for, you know, in your experience, if you've been having a reoccurring dream, or you've been seeing certain symbologies, or you've been brought to a certain place and time, or you've been getting, you know, connection to a specific guide or an ancestor, if you're remembering those things, you can set a very specific intention to get clarity around whatever it is. So for example, if you're getting like a lot of symbology and you've been seeing, I don't know, a rabbit in your dreams, like a white rabbit in your dreams, and you know, things have been showing up in your real life where you're like, oh my gosh, a sign, a sign, a sign, a sign, but you have no idea what the heck that actually means. Like, is it rabbit season? Like, that's why there's so many rabbits here? Or what is the actual reason that I'm seeing this sign? So set that intention after you do breathing, of course. The second part is setting that intention is to say, I want to actually know more about this rabbit. I want to actually figure out, like, what does this rabbit symbolize? What am I supposed to learn from this? So set a very specific intention about that sign or about that symbology. So not just to be like, I want to connect to the dream world. And again, you can do that. If you're not getting any specifics, if you don't have like a specific intention, you can just say, I just want to connect in the dream world. That's an amazing place to be. But if you do have those specifics, be as specific as you can be. You can say, why does this rabbit only show up in a field? And anytime I move from this field into the room, like they don't follow me, they don't come with me, they disappear in the field. Why is that? Ask a very specific question and be very specific about that intention that you're having in connecting with this symbology or whatever it is in that dream. So the next part of this is the third part. Part 1, breathing. Part 2, intention. Part 3 is detachment. Detachment means that once you ask your subconscious, you're just like, okay, I want to connect to this rabbit. I want to, you know, figure out what this rabbit is. What is the message here? Don't think too hard about it. Don't now start answering your own question. Be like, oh, well, the rabbit symbolizes this, and it symbolizes fertility, and it symbolizes time, and it symbolizes speed, and it symbolizes furry things, and it symbolizes cuteness. Like, it can symbolize whatever, right? Like there could be so many interpretations to that, and that's like the fun part that you get to do later. But as you set this intention, detach your own your conscious need to kind of like find meaning in it immediately. That's why you're intending to connect to the dream at the end of the day, right? Like your dream world is showing you things from your subconscious life, your subconscious thoughts. So can you allow yourself to kind of just like detach yourself from like being so creative and coming up with all the creative reasons? It's exciting, I know, but part of the sleep hygiene to get to this dream world is to actually detach. So breathing, set that intention, and then just let it go. Let it go and let it show you while you get into the dream. The fourth part of this is the why, all right? So another thing that you can do when you are getting into this dream world and you're kind of learning how to navigate a little bit more consciously in this unconscious, subconscious kind of world is to ask why, okay? This isn't you physically asking why, this can be you energetically asking why. So if in your dream you're seeing your body, you're seeing however it is that you dream, you're seeing yourself move through the space and all these different things are happening, ask why. And even if you feel, go back to the last part that we talked about, even if you feel like you kind of know the answer, you are detached from that answer. So keep asking why. Okay, why a rabbit? Okay, get the answer. Why? Next level, why? Next level, why? Next level, why? So your rabbit might have symbolized something to you in the surface. It might have been something that you thought about like on a surface level, but the more layers of why that you get to, you're going to understand that there is a root cause or a deeper cause of the symbology or this thing that's been showing up. The fifth part of your sleep hygiene for dreams is to actually be open to receiving the answer. Because sometimes things be coming up on our dreams because like our conscious mind doesn't want to accept the answers and it doesn't want to accept the lesson or accept the solution. And so we're just like, oh, we don't know why this has been coming up over and over and over again in all aspects of my life and in my subconscious world, in my dream world. You have to be open to receiving. So one way to affirm that for yourself, when you do get answers to those why, or you do find some kind of micro answer in all the different things that you've been experiencing in your dream, affirm it to yourself by saying, okay. Don't come up with more reasons, don't come up with all these different things, just say, okay. Whether you truly accept that answer that you got is not really up to your conscious mind. It's your subconscious that's going to feel through that lesson, feel through the signs, feel through the symbology. It's going to do its own thing as it learns better how to work in the subconscious realm. So just affirm like, okay, I don't know what to do with this information. That's not the part that we're getting to here. It's like, I don't really know how to use that information and apply that information, but I got the information. So, okay, I affirm. Be open to receiving. The last step is arguably the most important part of creating a sleep hygiene for your dream world is when you wake up is to also affirm, I release my connection to this story. I release my connection, right? So those emotions, that clarity, those lessons is already in your subconscious mind. And the difference between your subconscious and your conscious is all the things that you are aware of. Your conscious mind is all the stuff that you're aware of. Your subconscious mind, sub meaning underneath your consciousness, these are all the things that you are not aware of. These are all your little programmings, all the little ways that you behave and act and the way that you show up in the world that you don't really have awareness to, kind of this automatic part of you. So those messages aren't necessarily for your conscious mind at this time. Later on, they might integrate, which is amazing and awesome, and I hope that for you. But at this time, the messages that your subconscious receives, let that be for your subconscious. So as you wake up, really, if you do, maybe you don't remember all the details of the things that happened and the lessons and blah, 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 but something went down, that you were like traveling through the dreams, like that something took place, affirm, I release my connection to this story. I release my connection to this story and really mean that, okay? And this circles back around to what we've just talked about in the way beginning, is to breathe when you wake up. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out. Bridging back the subconscious and the conscious realms in one, in this vessel that you exist. Friends, happy dreaming, and leave a comment below about if you tried it. Let me know how it goes for you. And are you somebody who travels in your dream? I would love to know who is in here. Who are these dream travelers? Let me know, and until next time, I will catch you soon.